In the bottom right, in the red, he is the winner of the last APT North America Cup. It is Solar. In the upper left, in the blue, the man who slew Serral in DreamHack Europe, he is Gerald. Or, you know, as I so often manage to mispronounce or mistype, Gerlad. A lad from Ger. Which is, I think is extra fun. Because my, I read this web serial. It's called The Wandering, and it's fantastic. It's like 8 million words long at this point. It's insane. But there's a nation within this massive world that the author has created, called the Land of Gur, or Gurmina, I think. So it's like, sounds familiar, and it's actually no, it's just Bayo can't talk. I never noticed that there is a truck. There is a not a truck, excuse me. There is a bus in the debris. It's like a solid bus sitting in there, almost untouched. You know, it's like everything else is all these sparse, whatever. But I mean, this is just, it's not damaged at all. It's just kind of sitting here. Like, it looks like if you pick it up, it could start running again. Of course, it's gunmetal gray, everything, so maybe not. I guess it was sandblasted. Okay, that explains why it was in the trash. It was sandblasted, and that somehow popped the tires, and instead of, you know, replacing the tires, they decided it needed to go in the garbage heap. That is, that's what we figured out. Okay. That makes some level of sense. Is Gerald opening up a very quick Twilight Council? This does scream. Well, it screams a couple things, but knowing Gerald, this is most likely going to be DT drops into Archon drops. Gerald has been doing this quite often as of late. In fact, this is how, in part, he beat Serral a couple of weeks ago. But it doesn't feel like it is as quite as powerful as it was the last time we saw him beat Serral. Or when we saw him beat Serral, because he's had a couple weeks, and, well, to be totally frank, Zergs have started to adapt to it just a little bit. But Gerald does pylon block the third base. He's going to see that there is another one, though, and angrily spam the escape button, cancels the... cancels the pylon, and unfortunate. But I mean, if it had worked out, it would have been great. But as I say that, I mean, okay. With this being Rubbo on the way, this tells me this will most likely be Glaives, despite everything I'm saying about, oh, Gerald. Oh, okay, never mind. Normally, I feel like you go Twilight into Robo. Oh, this is just such an unfortunate position. The Overlord, Gerald knew where this Overlord was coming. He's going to get scattered out. Now, that may be by design, actually. Because once he gets a stock, I don't know that he has a stock rat, actually. Oh, he does. Well, yeah, he does have one that should get chased down. As the Adepts shade in, they shade out. Can't explain that one. Well, shade didn't get recalled out. Once the Stalker dies, do you just cancel the... Do you cancel the Dark Shrine? The Stalker doesn't die. So any sort of guess and check, any sort of... what's the word I'm looking for? Any sort of... double blind, any sort of fake play, it's not really going to work out, because Solar can rescout pretty much whenever he wants at this point, now that the Overlord has gotten in such a juicy position behind the main base. So it seems like Gerald will commit, in fact, to the Dark Shrine play. He's not commitment phobic. And certainly you can still get stuff done with a Dark Shrine, even if it is scouted. You're not going to get anything done with the DTs. Most likely is they're going to be a little bit feisty. They're going to find an Adept, but with 3 Adepts here, it looks like this Nexus should be ready anyways. So there we go. Nexus goes down, and we got a lair on the way as well. So all the detection a Zerg could possibly want in a game of StarCraft. 3 spores. Lair halfway done. DTs warp in, though, and they're going to still try to find something happen. Because realistically, that's an exposed 4. This is... Solar was so prepared for this that he's not prepared at all. This actually should have been no damage whatsoever. And yeah, is it going to be an insane amount? No, in fact, that should be a... There we go. Kill the drone. Thank you. The fact that he just forced the drones off the line actually ended the... Solar? Oh, that's unfortunate. He clicked the DTs on the hatch to try to make something happen, but still 7 workers have gone down. There's no spore. The spore rallied over. It's just kind of floating here. This is getting far more damage than Gerald had any right to get. He's going to get 9 workers. I don't know that he gets more than... Yeah, he's not going to get more than that as the Overseer will complete. But this is far more. Far more. 12 workers, excuse me. I guess more ran into the natural or into the third base. This is far more damage than Gerald had any right to get. Any right to get. Is now, what is that? Archon, I assume, warping it at home. Yeah, there's the Archon. So I think we're going to see a 4th DT get warped in. There we go. So 2nd Archon, and then, well, commence the DT drops. These Lings now, they're not going to get anything done. Nothing done whatsoever. Not with an Archon, not with the Dark Templar just there. And where are we going? Oh, Gerald. You love to see it. You love to see it. We're gonna have Warp Prism speed on the way, and we're gonna have Disruptor. So it's Archon drop right now, and then it will be Disruptor drop very soon. And that is actually so cool against what Solar wants to do. I mean, you build roaches to deal with this, right? Well, if Disruptors pop out, all the roaches, they go down. Problem is, there is a Spire on the way, and Spires are very good against, well, maybe not the Archons, but pretty much everything else that Gerald is going for, this heavy robo play. Ooh, seems like we had a bit of a internet hiccup there. Sorry about that, folks, but we will be okay. And I don't think it was me. So at the end of the day, that should be fine. Blink is about 30 seconds from completion. Archons are now released from their confines, and they're going to look to defend the 4th base position. Meanwhile, Disruptor drop now happening. So 2 Disruptors on the way from this setup here. In the Warp Prism, speeding across the map, and well, the Spire's not done for another 45 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that one. So there is certainly room for Solar or Gerald to find the damage he wants. But Solar is on top of things right now, already getting damage on the Warp Prism before it unleashes, before it drops its extremely dangerous payload. But for right now, okay, ooh. We don't have charge. So Warps in 4 DTs. There is a Spore on the way at the 3rd base. So I don't think these DTs get all that much done, but you drop the Disruptors into the... Oh, there's a Spore. Oh, actually, yeah, the Spore will go down. So a nice little bit of a bait switch here coming in from Gerald, and there just is nothing to deal with this one. Attempted body blocks on this army, but here come Disruptors trying to blow something up, and there we go. You can't chase this one, not really. Lings now, they're going to get on top of things. 2nd Disruptor shot does not get... Oh, he just dodges everything. Archons will now get morphed, getting recalled, and 1 will pop, 1 escapes. I liked the idea. Unfortunately, did not work out for Gerald. Now he's going to lose the Warp Prism. With 2 Disruptors in tow, he does not have a recall for it. Cannot drop and recall the Disruptors while leaving the Warp Prism to go down. And now Solar is up about 30 army supply. He's got a bunch of mutas here. They represent a lot of pressure. And I don't know. As much as I'm singing a song of doom and gloom, it is 3 Archons at the 4th base. It's a bunch of Blink Stalkers, but the mutas, they will show up elsewhere. And Stalkers that warped in, they don't do much of anything. This just unlocks the 4th base now for Solar. All the Lings, all the Roaches, well, they don't have to deal with the Stalkers and the Archons, because the Stalkers and the Archons are somewhere else, but actually decent army split. Decent army split from Gerald. After all, he lost a couple workers, but not much more than that one. But look at this muta commitment. We're on 17. We're going up to 22 plus 1 air. Double Stargate now for Gerald. But Solar seems to be of the opinion that Gerald cannot respond to this well enough. He can't really respond to it quick enough at all. So you build more mutas and you ping pong around the map, and wherever your opponent's army is not, you drop mutas. Wherever your opponent's wherever your opponent's army is not, you run in with a bunch of Ling Roach. I do get a little afraid when we start to hit that 30 muta count. I mean, that's 60 army supply right there, but there we go. Lings, they find themselves a run by. There's a warp in right now, but the Stalkers, they get targeted down pretty much as they warp in. So now Lings in the main base here, and importantly, that is a massive Artosis pylon, by the way, that will, of course, depower both Stargates, if that's what's going to happen. Shield better overcharges pop, but it's not really keeping too much alive, because again, there's like 30 mutas here. So the Stalkers move forward, and we will see, of course, the Stargate get knocked down. But there's so many Stalkers that, yes, despite that, Solar does still have to run away, and he does not want to dive into the 4th base, because that is where there are a lot of Archons. So 26 mutas on the field. A couple of them have already gone down. He's lost 4, so he's built 30 mutas in this game. Roach run by, not getting a lot, because defensive DTs are nice, but here comes the Overseer, and that really makes things very different. Disruptor shot goes in, and folks, there is no Roach speed. Oh, no, there is. They just look slow. Never mind. But still, that was a large blood splatter. And that has arrived as Muta's now trying to dive on top of these Archons. Magic boxing on top of them. So the Archons, they go pop like a bunch of, I guess, energy balloons. And now we're going to see the stack defense go down here as well. The Mutas, they dance around, and Stalkers, they need to stay in clumps. Even if they blink in weird positions, the Mutas can turn around, kill a Stalker or two, and then, well, run away. But we are starting to see Phoenix on the way, coming in from Gerald. It's only one at a time. Does not have a fleet beacon. I mean, this is not a scary Phoenix number whatsoever. But he's at least starting to have an answer to these mutas. But I worry that the muta force is so dominant from Solar at this point, as this one muta will fall, that he just moves into corruptors behind that, and you just get this big muta corruptor ball. That's the problem. But actually, the mutas, they're not stacked, and this is not the fight that Solar wants to take here. Gerald is not dying to these mutas the way that Solar really wants him to, and now the Phoenix, they're starting to arrive. Fleet beacon just about done. Adding in a, adding in a third Stargate. Gerald is stabilized. This was a very scary timing for the Polish Protoss player, but at the end of the day, he's stable. He's cresting 180 supply. He's going to be able to get Anine Pulse Crystals eventually. I actually really like his position. He's on 73 workers. Maybe I would like to see +1 air attack too or something, but I mean, he is in really a wonderful position to hold on into this game. Shield battery overcharge just have to get popped, and that's a dead Archon. But okay, this is a little worrying. That's a lot of lings, but they only have +1. They do not kill things all that super quickly. Certainly not with a shield battery overcharge. Certainly not, or with a shield battery. Certainly not with defensive DTs warped in. So Solar had an opportunity where Gerald's army was maybe not set up as he would like, and oh, that's gonna be a bunch of free disruptors, and yeah, there we go. That's a nice start. But Archon does have to get morphed. That's a lot of links finding their way into the third base, but here comes the Phoenix. These are just going to be so many dead mutas, but they do not have any pulse crystals just yet, so you do have to be careful in how you micro them. But even still, microing backwards here, Anine Pulse Crystals in just about 14 seconds, and then, well, it is dead Muta City. So, Solar will have to run away. The mutas continue to get made 3 at a time. 16 Hydras will be the name of the game from Solar at this point. He does not have any Banelings made, but he does have Baneling speed on the way. And there we go, with 20 Banelings morphing in. So this does invalidate a lot of what Gerald's army is. He has 1 Archon, 33 Stalkers, and a bunch of Hydras. Well, they don't have upgrades, actually. These Hydras, they don't have any attack upgrades. And that, yes, they do well enough, but... well, actually, that's the big deal. Stalkers don't have any upgrades either. So I was going to talk about how the Stalkers can actually trade against that, but again, that's a bit scary. But now, okay, these mutas should just die. You got to chase them down here, Gerald. This is the timing you're looking for. You have positive range advantage. Kill all the mutas. Make them dead. Put them in the ground. They've caused so many problems, and they will kill a lot of them there. And now, look at that. Bunch of free Overlords as well. Queens are not where they need to be. And Gerald, he's got to micro these, though. You cannot be losing Phoenix if you do have Anine Pulse Crystals there, but this is a nice position from Gerald in the middle of the map. Banelings will really not get the good connections that they are looking for, but the Phoenix count, it's only at 6. It has been roughly reset. You want these Phoenix not only to deal with the mutas, but to fly in and lift up all the Hydras on the defense. Even still, this army from Gerald is absolutely terrifying, and now the Phoenix, they are starting to get lifted here, and more disruptors on the way. The muta count is gone. So at the end of the day, I was concerned about Gerald's Phoenix control. It seems like it will be fine. Now he's got pressure. He's got power on the right side here. Remember, he's still on 4 bases. His economy is fine. Bailey's trying to roll in, but they're not going to get enough. And now Disruptor Shots starting to knock all the Hydras down. The Stalkers, they blink on, but they blink on into a bunch of Banes, and that is not what you want right there, but more Stalkers will arrive. Disruptors are dead, though, and that does take a lot of power out of the army of Gerald. It doesn't even have charge until right now, but yeah, charge, that's a little bit nicer. What's our Baneling count at? It's actually it's 0. So now the charge dots are absolutely unlocked. The Stalkers, they blink onto a corner, build a bit of a concave. But the Hydras, they're going to micro backwards behind the mineral line, buying time, buying space, buying room for there to be more production. But more Disruptors, they join the field one by one, coming in from Gerald at this point. Okay, well, that might just be game there. All the Hydras went down, at least enough of them, so it does not even matter. Banelings, they come rolling in, but at this point, there are too many Stalkers for Gerald to care. He has everything he wanted. He sustained. He survived. He bought enough time against the muted play that, honestly, I think Solar overcommitted to. And now, Gerald's up 1-0 on Solar. In the bottom left, folks, in the red. He's down 1. It's Solar. In the upper right, he's up 1 game in this series. Folks, for PSISTORM, the Slayer of Serral, it's Gerald. So again, we saw the muted play from Solar, and he honestly just overcommitted to it. Building 30, 35 mutas and not killing your opponent's economy and then killing a lot of their army too. It feels too all in. So Solar realized that, he transitioned out of it, but Gerald didn't let him. Man, that disruptor hit though, my God. That'll make the difference. We take that. If you're a Protoss enjoyer, we take those. If you're a Zerg enjoyer, you don't like that. That is your bad dreams. That is the opposite of what you're looking for. So I don't know that we see muted. I was gonna say I don't know that we see muted play from Solar in game 2, but realistically, muted play as a response to what Gerald was doing was the proper call, I think. Thank you, Zays. I have hydrated. I've taken a drink of nice, cool, refreshing water. The drink of champions. I do not, unlike some Zerg players, consume creep. I'm not that invested. But Gerald is going for a bit of a different build here in game number 2. He's going for Stargate play. And remember, this game game 1 started with Gerald getting about 12 worker kills with a scouted DT drop. With the DTs, mind you, not like Archons finding a really good opening. DTs, they ran in, and Solar kind of, his hands failed him a little bit. He wildly mispositioned his spores. DTs ran into the natural. Spore was unburrowed, trying to respond to the fact that, well, there was nothing defending the spore into the third, so Solar had to uproot the spore of the natural to make sure that there was a spore there, even as the third spore was killed. And then just DTs ran into the natural, and in 15, 12, some of the 12, 15 workers died, and that was great. So I don't mind Gerald going for something a little bit different here. First of all, it's inside and out, and the default build on this map is Clave, so don't go for that. Don't go for the default build. Don't give Solar the safety and the surety of, well, experience of expectations, I guess. Although certainly they are some great expectations. Adept shade his way into the mineral line. It's gonna get 3 work. Oh, nice cancel there. Is it gonna be? Yeah, I guess 2 workers. 2 workers for 2 adepts. It's kind of the expected setup right there. It looks like Solar's just gonna keep that spore on the way. You kind of want a spore at 3:30-ish anyways. Yeah, maybe you want it a little later. 3:45, 4 minutes. But it's close enough to the timing that, well, it's gonna work out. So Lings will now find the third base. Solar knows that because those adepts were killed, there's not gonna be a lot of pressure on the map, or not gonna be a lot of defensive play. So the third base just has to get canceled. I know Lings are gonna find their way into the main base. The natural probes get pulled, but they actually get body blocked out by the stalker. So this is just going from bad to worse. You lose the adepts, it means you have to cancel the third base. It means that there's nothing in the wall, and yes, 2 probes go down, but it's lost mining time, and more importantly, it is a full scout. It is a massive scout here. Solar knows absolutely everything Solar knows enough about Gerald that he knows what Gerald had for breakfast. That was like a full-on colonoscopy right there. He stuck the scope in and saw everything. And his response, +1 melee on the way. But I mean, I don't think that should surprise anyone. This is a Stargate opener. If you're a Protoss, you go Stargate, you go Blink and Forges behind that. Although, I'm a little worried. Gerald has been punished tremendously as of late by going for the double spore opener. As, oh, this Oracle is going to go down. As good as Gerald looked in game number 1, game 2 is not nearly as happy. Lings on the other side. They're not going to try to cancel the third base, and actually the stalker may go down. But there's enough of a wall here that, yeah, they get the stalker, but not much more than that. With 2 adepts in kind of that walled off position from Gerald, that should be fine. Oh, very quick Templar archives. I'm assuming this is going to be for Storm. There are builds where you go quick charge at Templar Archives and you go for a Charge-Led Archon. Not going to say all in, but Charge-Led Archon timing. But because this is Blink on the way, I don't think that's what Gerald is going to be going for unless he, you know, cancels it and goes charged. But I think that is highly unlikely. So I think we're just going to see a quick, very, very quick Storm coming in from Gerald. And he certainly... Oh. Protoss needs a wall, folks. This is... Protoss needs a door. Lings find their way into the main base. They're going to see the Templar Archive. See, it's not researching just yet, but these are feisty Lings. They don't have +1, but it doesn't matter. They kill 5 workers. They get the full scout. They see the Devil Forge. They see the Templar Archives. They see it's not researching, as we said. And, yeah, everything that a young Zerg could possibly want and possibly look to understand here. And they're in again. This time it's a lot more. Gerald, as good as he looked in game 1, he looks a lot less good. In game number 2, Ling is now even fighting an Archon looking for the surround, and that's not going to work out for them. Oh no, they're going to get the surround anyways. The Archon will fall here. Yes, Archons are good against Lings, but only from one side. If the Lings get the surround, the Archon will fall anyways. So workers are dying. Archons are dying. Gerald's hopes and dreams in this game are dying. He's already down about 30-40 supply. He held on tremendously well in game 1. But, yeah, 11 roaches are on the way. 2-1. Carapace is actually somewhat of an interesting decision, but I guess Gerald or Solar's, that's a hedge, right? Because yeah, that's what it is. So Solar saw the Devil Forge, so he opted to match his opponent, get the second Evo. But I wouldn't mind seeing Solar just maxing out and running his queens and his roaches and his lings just across the map. He's gotten enough damage done where I think that is very much justified. Oracle's going to try to find something. Remember what? He's going to lose the second one. Yeah. This might be a server thing. This one might be played on West and maybe game 1 was played on Central. But for how clean Gerald looked in game 1 compared to how very much not clean he looked in game 2, I don't know. This feels like a server thing at the very least. But Solar is starting to pump and pump and pump these Lings out. Baneling speed is just about done, so he's going to have a bunch of Banelings eventually. But here comes some Adepts. 4 Adepts into the 4th base, and really not a lot of Lings to stop them. So, well, okay, there come the rest of the Lings. And this is actually not going to get a whole lot done. I thought it might. But Inside and Out is a very small map. So the army of Solar is able to respond to this one pretty well nicely here. And there we go. 4 Adepts are dead. They don't get any workers. And now Solar on the other side of the map. The rocks are down. 49 Banelings are morphing in. And folks, I talked about how we were going to see a quick Storm. Well, certainly not with the damage that Gerald has taken. He's building an Archon here to try to keep himself safe, but it's 50 Banes, folks. That is... Okay, sorry, it's 49 Banes. We must be specific here, but it's a lot of Banes. And they're going the long way. Some of them are going the long way around because there's a pretty significant wall just about everywhere. And now roaches for the point, they're going to knock the wall. They're going to start to knock some of this wall right on down. No Ravagers, though, so not the tremendous amount of damage that you're looking for. And Solar really wants to knock down more than this just one gateway. He wants to have a wide open attack path. As Banelings, they try to run into the natural. There's not going to find much of anything there. Archon will fall. That's going to be another dead gateway onto the right side, and this is what Solar was looking for. There's nowhere for the Lings to, nowhere for the drones to run, nowhere for the probes to run. They will all go down, 26 of them, in fact, hitting the deck there, and it's still 83 army supply to 37. The Banelings and the Lings, they come rolling forward. Archon's doing as good of a job as it can, but it just pops. And there is no probe at the at the 4th base. So Banelings, they're just going to knock down the stack defense. They're going to knock down the pylon, the shield battery, all those wonderful things. They get great connections on the Stalkers anyways, and hate to say this, folks, Gerald's dead. Gerald is extremely dead. He's holding on for as long as he can, but there we go, folks. We're moving to game 3, and let's hope that Gerald has a bit better game 3 than he did game 2. In the bottom left, in the red, he fell in game number 1, but game number 2, by God, he dissected him. It's Solar. In the upper right, in the blue. Well, game 1, he held on well. Game 2, not so much. It's Gerald. So the important question we ask, actually, as we get into this, so in The Witcher, you have 2 swords. You have a what's the word? You have a silver sword that is for slaying monsters, and you have a steel sword for fighting humans. If you are a Witcher, such as Gerald, and you have to fight a Zerg, are you using a steel sword or a silver sword? Because the whole fighting humans are not really, it's more mundane versus magical, but Zerg are out of this world, and technically silver. The reason actually as we go on a bit of a sidetrack here because we're early in the game, nothing much is happening yet. There's actually this super interesting. So if you look at silver, right? Silver is something that vampires hate. Some silver bullet or silver arrow or something kills werewolves, things like that. It's because silver actually has antimicrobial properties. So ancient people, much like garlic, which again is also kind of a purifying thing. It keeps things from rotting, much like onions do, or salt, or all these things that vampires and werewolves and whatever hate. Because they have the ability to prevent rot, they were seen as like these magical, mystical, purifying substances. So then when you're talking about magical, mystical monsters that represent the forces of death in the universe, it makes perfect sense that silver will be able to deal with them, will be the response. Or salt, again, is another one. Running water, same idea. It's pure, it's purifying because it's fast and it's not stagnant. Like running water is safe to drink from. So with that in mind, Zerg is kind of some existential metaphor in part to like the heat death, like the slow, I don't know, not necessarily the heat death of the universe, but just this growing swarm. So technically silver might be good on them. I don't know. We're sciencing this metaphor far too hard. Anyway, Gerald, he's going back for the build that he went for in game number 1. Robo on the way. Remains yet to be seen whether he will build glaives or whether he will go for DT play. But considering how well game 1 went for him and just how he's been opting to play in general, I think it's going to be the Dark Shrine, and there we go. So I can't imagine. I really cannot imagine Solar taking 15 probes worth of damage to a scouted DT play once again. Anyways, okay. So there we go. We have the Dark Shrine about halfway done, and War Prism already active on the map here. And this actually is a really nice thing to make sure that you keep just the third base idea alive, because, well, any Adepts that get surrounded and killed off, they're just going to get lifted, and it's going to be fine. But Solar seems to be committing to this one a little bit harder. We got more Lings on the way, and gotta be a little bit careful here with the Warp Prism control. There we go. Pick up, drop him somewhere else, put him in a little bit more of an interesting position. A DT is actually going to get warped in defensively, and, well, goodbye lack of scouting. But Solar has spores anyways because he wasn't sure exactly what Gerald was going for. So you kind of build DTs and you're fine. But, oh, look at this. Very different setup, actually. In this game number 3, Gerald pantomiming the exact same build as game 1, but he got an Immortal on the way. And if I was to have a guess there... Wow. Yes, Charge is now going to be on the way. So we're going to see an Immortal Archon charge lot timing coming in from Gerald. He will have 3 bases, and he is on 4 gas. But I think we're going to see a lot of aggression coming out of this soon enough. Another Archon gets morphed in. Charge is not a long upgrade, by the way. And is Gerald going to pull off gas? Not yet. But he is adding more gateways, and I'm curious to see if this works. This may catch Solar very off guard. In fact, he's joining pretty hard. He's already up at 64. And Gerald has not cut probes for this, by the way. As much as I'm talking about this potential timing that he may want to hit, he's still building probes 1, 2, 3 at a time. But anyways, now at least Solar has something of a scout. He goes over, seals all the gateways coming down. But third base is up, so you're going to get those gateways anyways. That's not really all that much of a surprise. The important thing is figuring out whether this is blink or this is charge, and the immortal setup. So getting 3 immortals is absolutely a kind of a warning sign for Solar that yes, there is something happening, because while immortals are fantastic in PvP, they're actually pretty good in PvT too, as Solar has taught us. They're not all that great in the Zerg matchup. Eventually, Lings show up and Hydras show up and it becomes rather painful. So getting these immortals does mean that Gerald is going to make something happen. In fact, he's doing it right now. He's got all of his army on the bottom side of the map here. Immortals are starting to waddle their way on over. More Archons, more Fins, so it's a grand total of 4 Archons, 3 Immortals. Not a lot of Zealots just yet, but just enough to cause the problem. And the Ling's looking for that surround. Now, they're going to see that there are all the gateways that are getting chronoed. So that is actually really a great scout in and of itself. But here comes the army right now. Immortals, they take a shot to start. They get a second one, and that is not the way you want to start things here. Solar's read this one, but like a book. It's like this book is saying ABC 1, 2, 3, and Gerald was trying to make it look like a PhD dissertation. It's not going to work out for him whatsoever. A little bit too simple on the read from Solar, and he found Lings into the natural. Say it with me, folks. The Protoss, it needs a door, but it will not have one. Not in this game. In fact, we're just going to say that the push was adorable, but will not work out at the end of the day because Solar doubling up the army supply. He's up 20 workers, despite the fact that, again, Gerald was somewhat consistently building probes behind this one. Immortals now, they're starting to fall, just not enough saves, and, well, Mutas, they're going to come flooding in behind, so anything that the Roaches do not kill, the Mutas will be able to kill by proxy. So this is a dead Solar, this is a dead Gerald, excuse me, once again. There's just not a lot he can do. I kind of like the idea. I thought it was interesting, but unfortunately, you got to do more than an interesting build to go and win a game of StarCraft, and Solar is going to be in the finals against Estrella.